welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is all about navigating the Canadian immigration journey from start to finish. I'm excited to be joined by Oleg Schindler, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and an immigration policy analyst. Not only does he guide individuals and families through complex process of applying for visas and permanent residency, but also he specializes in economic immigration, helping newcomers take that crucial next step in finding meaningful opportunities and building a successful life in Canada. Oleg, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Hi, Harjit. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to visit your podcast today. And well, everything is fine. The work day is almost over, so I'm happy to chat about various interesting topics on immigration.
Perfect. I'm happy to have you, and I'm looking forward to learning some great insights from our talk today. So let's jump right in. To begin with, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and how did you get into world of immigration?
Sure. As you said, I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I live in Canada since 2015. So we immigrated through the student pathway. I applied for my master's degree in Canada, and after I finished, we decided to stay. So initially, it was simply a matter of doing my own immigration. So I started, to know more and more and more, and to read, to learn, to file my cases. And then somehow after I graduated, so initially I was working in a different field because by training I'm a political science and history guy. So I was working in one think tank here in Ottawa, but unfortunately I lost a job, and then I was looking for a different job, and somehow I ended up in the immigration company in Toronto. I was working as a business development manager there, and slowly but surely I realized that there are so many things that can be done in the immigration field, specifically with marketing. So my first business was marketing services for immigration companies. I simply noticed that the niche is empty. No one is provided dedicated tailored services for immigration company because regular marketing agencies, they simply do not understand how all it works in the immigration. They try to approach it as any other industry, and it doesn't work that way. And so the next step was quite logical. So if I was already doing a lot of stuff related to immigration, if I was knowing about all the available programs, why don't I get myself a license and simply to open a practice and to start being an immigration consultant? So a few years after that, here I am running two lines of businesses, and so I do help people to immigrate. As well, I do help immigration consultants to bring more clients so they can help more people to immigrate.
Wow, lovely. The journey has been incredible from political science and history to having your own consultancy now, and it's running very successfully.
Yes, thank you.
Love it. Talking about recent immigration policies, what recent changes in immigration policy do you think will have biggest impact over next couple of years that you think applicants must pay attention to?
Well, I would say that we are currently experiencing very, very tough time in Canadian immigration. It's not unique for Canada. I would say that it's something worldwide. So the whole world is overcoming these challenging times. We can see similar processes in the United States, in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, in European Union. So on the one hand, immigration is something that will probably never stop because throughout all our history, people were migrating from place to place looking for better opportunities for themselves, starting from antique periods until the Middle Ages and to nowadays. At the same time, we simply need to realize that so our officials love to state that immigration is not a right, it's a privilege. And I would simply add to this that it is an economic tool that helps our economy to thrive. Unfortunately, we do not have enough new Canadians, so the fertility rate in Canada is dropping. So we need more people coming here, joining the labor force. The question is only who we need exactly, who do we want to invite, and on what conditions. But at the same time, so historically, all political forces in Canada were pro-immigration. We only now see some minor changes, and so both populist calls, both from right and both from the left, manipulate in the immigration field and like spread different things. I can even two remarkable things that I want to mention. Just like a few weeks ago, there is the newly appointed Minister of Immigration from the Liberal Party was asking the Parliament questions about security, and she responded something unclear, demonstrating that she's totally not informed about what's going on in her department. At the same time, on the right hand, we have the leader of the opposition, Mr. Poilievre, just saying that he wants to completely stop the temporary foreign worker program because it takes jobs from Canadians. So, both of them are manipulating, both of them are demonstrating lack of deep knowledge of what is immigration. Immigration is not good, it is not bad, it is just a thing that exists and it will continue to exist. It's just the question how we are going to use it. At the same time, so the government, so I would say that lack of good planning by the government in recent years caused most of those problems that we are facing right now. We already saw this in the media. Poor international students are blamed that they are the cause of high for the housing costs, high rent, lack of jobs for young Canadians, etc. But at the same time, the same media kind of forget to mention that before that, the government of Canada was running several huge marketing campaigns in Southeast Asia, in South Asia, in Africa, in Europe, literally advertising, come to Canada, it's a land with opportunities. If you come here as a student, you will get a PR, build your future in Canada. And we as taxpayers funded those campaigns. So after you attract so many international students, now you cannot blame them for simply following your ads. If you advertise, expect people to come. And now you simply change your mind. Okay, we were wrong, we counted incorrectly, and we admitted too much people. Guys, it's not serious. And you cannot blame people for simply wanting a better life. Same thing with foreign workers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see really long lines to a lot of places. I mean, lines from young Canadians in places like, let's say, Tim Hortons or fish factories or construction. So though all those jobs need to be filled, and yes, we use the labor force that we bring to Canada to fill these industries with people because someone needs to do the job. And you cannot say that it's all because of international students and foreign workers and blame them for everything. At the same time, you have to admit that poor planning is the cause of all these things. So all recent changes reflect this bad planning. We do see some good steps, yes. So for instance, express entry system, which is our flagship system to bring immigrants. Back then in my years when I was immigrant myself, it was a very, very predictable system. Every second Wednesday we had a new invitation round. The number of invitees was pretty much the same. The fluctuation of points was not really big, it was pretty much the same. But now it has changed. And you face situations where people with high with 500 points who are still waiting in the system for the invitation, not because they are bad candidates, simply because there are too many candidates with similar parameters who have those big points. And my best advice to everyone in this regard is simply, guys, yeah, it's tough times, but just be patient, try to extend your status in Canada, try to keep working, try to improve your languages. There will be good changes, so it will not be bad all the time. The good days are ahead of us. So we see that government is trying to fix the mess. At the same time, we see that they are not trying hard enough, and it leaves a lot of room for criticism toward their actions.
Yeah, and I really like the way you mentioned that the two extremes are in quest of putting their point forward. Talk about the extremes on a scale where the opportunity here is to get to the middle ground, talk about how can we channelize the immigration system.
Exactly, it's a tool, so you cannot blame a hammer that it is bad. No, the hammer is just a tool. It depends how you use it, to nail. It's a tool.
Yeah.
Same thing about immigration. Yes, we have quotas. We have so a good thing that the government has introduced is targeted categories in the express entry system. So
Mhm.
unlike previously when we had general invitation rounds for everyone, and those who had highest points got invited. During the pandemic, the government closed the borders. This caused many overseas candidates to wait indefinitely. The government concentrated on inviting people who were already inside Canada. And if you remember those crazy days when, especially the black day of my practice, the 13th of February was 2021, I think, when they invited literally everyone who was in Canada. They invited everyone under the huge draw in Canadian Experience class. The irony is that like before this draw, like when I had someone with like 300 something points, usually I was like, unfortunately, you don't have like really big chances. I suggest you not to apply for express entry. Try to look for try to go to some like like rural areas to like look for employers in the provinces. Maybe this will be your chance. At the same time, like some of my colleagues whose moral principles are different, they were taking money, they were admitting everyone. Like on this specific day, like when I was very sad and frustrated, they were literally partying because everyone was invited. So since then, I'm telling, okay, guys, even if you have like low points, still, like like
Yeah.
it is worth to have the profile just in case. You can never know what to expect from the government. But anyway, the point is that like so the scores really like got very low at some point. When the pandemic ended, obviously the score skyrocketed because we had a huge portion of overseas candidates with very high points. When they finally started to get the invitation, at some point, I remember it was early 2022, 2023, I was already expecting that, okay, so looks like we're going to back to normal, back to the numbers that we had before the pandemic, and everyone who had something like 450, 460 are good candidates to be invited, and now it's finally to be good. But then the government introduced these targeted categories under the reason that this allows us to monitor who exactly we invite. We don't know, like 50,000 administrative assistants. We want more healthcare workers. We want more IT guys. We want more tradespeople. And it's a good thing, like, so the idea, the intention of the government is very, very good, like, so it's a smart thing to target specific industries where we have like shortage.
Hmm.
What exactly happened then? Like, as always, the idea and intention are good. The implementation, let's
Yeah.
say, it can be improved.
It can.
What I mean and what I specifically mean under this statement. So the criteria right now is very, very simple. If you have at least 6 months of work experience in a specific occupation that is targeted under one of the categories, it is already enough for you to be targeted. Let's say we have a category called skilled trades. In this category, we have an occupation, carpenter. Good occupation. So we have some IT guy whose occupation recently was removed from the list, but he sees that, okay, so if I work as carpenter for 6 months, I can be invited as carpenter. What is going to happen next? So this guy will find a construction company, will leave his IT work probably, or maybe he will simply try to combine two works. He will go to work as carpenter for 30 hours weekly or some part-time work. Part-time is allowed. He will then get this 780 hours, like, and my calculation is built on 30 hours weekly, multiply 26 weeks. It's exactly half a year, or 6 months of work experience. So this guy will meet the requirement. He will be invited. He will get the PR. My question is, will this specific person continue working as carpenter? I have doubts. What is going to happen next? It's very simple. So at some point, and like at this point, consider this as a prophecy. So few months after, like maybe later this year, the government will have a conference and they will state that, guys, we finally are on our way to fix the problem on construction. We brought enough healthcare workers, construction workers, other like people where we had shortages. Now we are going to build the economy.
Yeah.
But those people who use those targeted categories will not stay in these industries. So probably somewhere next year, maybe the same person or someone else will also have a media conference where they will tell something like, we know what, something went wrong. We don't know yet what exactly, but for some reason we still experience shortage in all those industries.
Yeah.
But rest assured, right now we are going to have a special task force or a committee that will investigate what exactly happened. We allocated millions of dollars budget to find out, like, expect the results. We will fix it. And so if people like me can foresee this today, why the government cannot?
Yeah.
And it's a rhetoric question.
Yeah, that's an excellent insight. Uh, with these changes at a rapid pace, how do you think everyday people, like whether students or temporary workers or temporary residents, stay updated on immigration policy that directly affect their application?
Well, to be honest with you, even myself, like as an immigration practitioner, who it's my obligation to be informed and updated about everything. So, and I try to do so. It is really challenging for me to stay updated because there are too many changes, very rapid changes, sometimes very radical changes. In the past, usually government provided some grace period for changes and announced them way in advance. Mm, More recently, we see a lot of cases when the changes are being introduced too fast, and people have not enough time to simply to get used to them. Uh, as a good illustration of that, let's remember the change that happened this year in January when they prohibited from certain foreign workers and international students to bring their spouses with them on work permits or study permits. Only certain field of study or only certain occupations are now allowed to do so. And if you came to Canada earlier under one terms and now they change the rules in mid game, it is very unfair to those people who do that. Yes, like those who started their applications in advance, in some cases they were not hurt by this, but many other candidates are hurt. So if you plan your immigration, if you gather money, if you save to apply for a study permit, and you build everything on the calculations that you will study and your spouse will work, so your family can make it. Now the game has changed and it is very challenging. So yes, try to follow the news, try to monitor the news. By the way, speaking of updates, using the opportunity, so that's actually one of the things that I do in my marketing business for immigration company. We have the service called Immigration News Digest. It's a paid subscription for immigration practitioners that allows them to stay updated about every change that happened in the immigration field on all levels, starting from municipal, regional to federal. And we prepare this as social media ready posts so that the immigration consultants and the lawyers can simply use and post it on their social media, and in that way they kind of are informed by themselves, they inform their audience, and they can attract more clients to their businesses. But it is really challenging, and it's easier for me because I have a monitoring team who does this every day. Literally, few of my associates, all their work is that they monitor all the news, collect all the updates, and then we simply send this to our subscribers. But for regular people, it is insane. So you have to monitor hundreds of websites to be aware about all federal, provincial, regional updates. And don't forget that when we say that we have more than 100 immigration programs, it is true. It's not something that we invented. It's it's actual count.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's insane. Insane amount of information. Perfect. But yeah, I think people can use these digests because I was asking this question because I've seen my friends getting into difficult situations by blindly trusting the advice from people who claim to be immigration lawyers apparently, but weren't actually licensed or registered.
Yeah. Well, let me add something here. How can you know whether your consultant or lawyer are good consultants or lawyers or not? Good practitioner allows himself or herself to say things like, I don't know right now, but I will find out and will get back to you. So good profi will never invent things, will never provide you inaccurate information. So there is no shame to say that, okay, there were so many changes. Let me double check and I will get back to you with a clear answer rather than like simply saying something. At the same time, I also do this a lot. So when I consult my clients, I also tell them that like I'm not the primary source. Yes, you get majority of information from me, but the only primary source is Canada.ca and like all other provincial websites. So these are the same sources where I also get the information. Yes, I also have some other channels where I can get more information. So like social media from decision makers, internal documents. You probably heard about the thing called ATIP, like access to information and privacy. So from time to time, many consultants and lawyers, we do order from IRCC specific internal documents, memos, like different guides or like policy clarifications, which allows us to get more, like to dive deeper into like what's going on behind the scenes. And luckily we are in Canada and we have the freedom of information, and access to information is not prohibited. So literally everyone can, just like people sometimes order ATIPs to get their personal info about their cases, we can do the same thing about the internal policies. That's how like we in the industry also get more insights about different topics. But yes, it is challenging when we have so many, like it is literally very easy to sink in this flood of information. So yes, always double check and always trust only official sources. Don't trust like unofficial websites, because I have already seen a lot of ads like like, so guys, there is like a new program, very easy requirements, IELTS 5.0 called startup visa, everyone gets PR. And like, so on the first hand you see, well, it's a very simple program, but then you realize, okay, you have to to have a qualifying business, you have to invest into it, you have to get a letter of support from a designated organ, like name it, like a lot of nuances in the like in practice.
The terms and conditions apply, that little
Exactly. Don't forget to read everything that is written in a small font below.
Perfect. Talking about the buzzword in the Canadian immigration today, LMIA, how has recent Canadian immigration policies affected the LMIA process and their approval?
Well, again, media usually like to blame greedy immigration consultants and lawyers who sell LMIAs, or greedy employers who abuse poor foreign workers. Uh, but again, like, let's not forget who caused all of this mess. So the idea of LMIA is very good. We have a shortage of specific workers in specific industries. We have a tool that allows Canadian employers to fill those gaps. But when you have like the influx of people, unplanned influx, and when you have poor management and the competition for getting a permanent residence is so high, people naturally will look for different ways how to improve the chances. Once LMA was used only for those who really needed it. At some point, we simply saw this, that like everyone was trying to look for LMA, even if they don't need it, even if they need it just for points. Like, so LMA was giving additional 50 points in express entry, and it was a huge advantage for those who don't get enough points to be invited. But when you have every second or every third candidate having it, like, okay, it ruins the whole concept. So first of all, I would not blame people, I would not blame employers, and I would not blame foreign workers. I would blame the government. They make this mess to come out. At the same time, yes, the decision to eradicate points for LMA is also, I would say, very hurtful, because like, along with those fraudsters who abused the system, they literally prevented some genuine candidates to get the PR. And in other ways, they told us, okay, so we do collective punishment to everyone, even to those who are innocent, who are genuine workers who came to Canada under LMA to work for the specific employer, genuine work. Well, like, so I don't have a specific good solution how to fix it exactly as of today. I do have some thoughts how it can be replaced by by a better system. Recently, I published an article on my LinkedIn. I called it TFWP 2.0, the system that is going, no, like, if something like that is going to be introduced, it may fix a lot of problems specifically with hiring foreign workers, with abuse, with fraud, and with retention of people in specific provinces where they came initially. So my idea is very simple. What I would do if I were in charge of that, I would simply introduce work permits that are NOC based and provincially limited. For example, every province gets a specific quota for specific occupations that they need in a given fiscal year. For example, New Brunswick needs 300 carpenters, 250 nurses, I don't know, 25 software developers, for example. This means that this is the allocated quota for this province, and on the other hand, we have a pool of trusted workers who were already pre-screened by the federal government. They submitted their biometrics, they have submitted their language test, their education, their work experience, so they are ready to go candidates. All that we need at the moment is that some Canadian employers register in the system, prove that they need someone to be hired, and we simply need them to be matched. And if this person comes to a specific employer, they don't get the work permit that prohibits them from changing employers. Not at all. If a different employer in the same occupation, in the same province, will offer a job to this candidate, this guy can leave and to change employer. This will also ensure that there is no abuse by the employer. This will also ensure a free competition on the market. At the same time, they are the workers will be restricted within the same province. They cannot, they cannot abuse the system by coming to Saskatchewan and then moving to Ontario, or coming to Alberta and then moving to BC. Not at all. At the same time, what I also suggest, we need to link this system with express entry, with federal system. Let's say thank you to those who stay loyal to their provinces. If you come to a specific province, you stay there for 1 year, let's give this person additional points for being loyal to this province. If this person works longer time, let's benefit them with even more points. In this way, we can increase retention rate, because during the process of coming to Canada to work, the person establishes their families in the specific province. They they raise kids, the kids are going to school, they pay taxes. It will be way harder for this person to leave to a different place afterwards if they spend in this province longer time. At the same time, if they know that if I go to another place, I lose all my benefits, well, it will prevent them from leaving. So we can fix the system. There are I don't say that my idea is the only and the best. Not at all. It's just my thinking how we can fix the system. And if it's possible, you can simply visit my LinkedIn and to read more details, because it's pretty it's a long read. It will take you some 15 to 20 minutes to read it all. But yes, unfortunately, I'm not in charge, and I'm not. I don't work for RCIC. But I hope someone will read it and someone will take some ideas.
Yeah, and by the way, I must compliment you. You have great insights, and the solutions that you present, although now listening to them, it sounds simple, but I'm pretty sure this study behind it is pretty strong.
Of course.
Wow, kudos to you.
Thank you.
That's extremely interesting. For Canadian class experience, someone who doesn't get an invitation, for example, in the first draw, what practical steps would you suggest them to take to improve their chances?
Okay, so let's break it down into few elements. So first and foremost, the most important thing here is maintain your legal status. Try to avoid the situation when you don't have a legal status in Canada, because it literally can close all doors and all opportunities for you. I don't say that it is impossible to fix the situation, but it will be very challenging to do so. So if you are on open work permit at the moment, try to convince your employer to apply for LMIA or to apply for a nomination which allows you to get a new work permit. If it's not an opportunity and you still are stick to express entry and you want to go through this way, let's list it in the following way. So the best thing that you can do in to increase your chances is learn the second official language. So French is the ultimate tool. So when we talk about French, we are talking about the level CLB7. If we are talking like it's like 7 in CELPIP or 6.0 in IELTS in all bands. So this level allows you to get additional 50 bonus points just for being bilingual. So it's like the same as was in LMIA when it was bringing points. Moreover, you also get some additional points for the level itself. So it is additional 12 points. So when it comes to French, French is literally about 62 points that can increase your score. Moreover, since we have these dedicated targeted invitation rounds only for Francophone candidates, the score is usually way lower in those targeted draws. So the lowest, if I remember correctly, 339 or something like that in 2023. Just today, like we are on August 4, so today we had an invitation round where 4,500 candidates were invited and the score was as low as 446, like very low comparing to all other invitation rounds. And to those of you who is going to say, oh, okay, Oleg, it's so easy for you to tell us learn French, but like I have study, I have work, I have family, I don't have time, and it took me a long time to learn English, and now you want me to learn French, leave it like it's impossible. Guys, it is possible. Literally every second consultation, I offer people this solution. Okay, you know what if you study French? How do you think, are you able to find out, to find 1 hour a day to dedicate to French? And I explain them that, look, like it is something that will, well, like I don't love the word guarantee, but like it kind of like increase your chances to 99% of success, because like this is a game-changing opportunity. And many people are complaining that, like, you know what, like I cannot do so. So to inspire people, I started to take classes in French. I have a tutor twice a week. I do French, and I try to study on my own at least 1 hour a day. I'm in month 3 right now. My goal is to simply prove to everyone that it is possible. So, as I love to say, à chaque deuxième consultation, j'encourage mes clients à apprendre le français. Apprenez le français. C'est votre chance pour immigrer au Canada. So I told that, it is your chance to immigrate to Canada. And, if someone like me who has family, who has several businesses, several lines of businesses, some public activities, if someone like me finds the time to study French, well, then you can also do that. It's just a matter of like how much time and how much effort it will take you. But we know from the immigration level plans, we know that the goal of the government for this year is 8.5% of the total immigrants to be Francophones. For the next year, the goal is 9%, 9.5%. And for 2027, it is already 10%. Just recently, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced that they want to increase this figure to 12%. So in the absolute numbers, we are talking about a stable 31,000 people who are going to immigrate with the help of French. So we know that even if you start learning French today, your chances with French will be way better than for those who are going to apply without French.
Yeah. And
So
it's
from this perspective,
long term, it's not just for permanent residency, but even
exactly. Don't forget that Canada is a bilingual country. So like if you study French, it will not harm you. It will only help you. So first thing, I would say French. Then, if other than French, what else can we do? Obviously, we cannot become younger, but we can improve our English to maximum. We can improve our education. We can get more Canadian work experience. If you're already in Canada and you're planning to immigrate through Canadian Experience class, okay, so you get, if you are married, you get 35 points for 1 year, but you get 46 points for 2 years. You get 56 points for 3 years. So it's just a matter of extending your status, longer work permits, more experience, more points. The other thing is, I already mentioned, my example with the IT guy who went to work carpenter. We don't invent those rules. We simply follow the rules. So if the government misplanned this kind of thing, we don't violate anything. So like they never told us that, okay, you have to continue working as carpenter, you have to continue working as nurse ed, you have to continue as pharmacy assistant, you have to stay childhood educator assistant. They didn't.
Yeah.
So from this perspective, I don't see anything bad if you really go and take those jobs that are targeted by the government to immigrate. Like, it's a valid thing to do. It is not prohibited. Again, you're not doing anything wrong. Like, it's the government that stated, look, these are the rules and we stick to these rules. You simply follow. So consider taking a different career, consider changing your occupation to something that is targeted specifically now. But be aware that those occupations can be reviewed from time to time. We already have seen this thing with IT guys. So the STEM category, like the first edition of STEM list of occupation included, if I remember well, 10 or 12 occupations in IT. In the second edition, they were all removed except for cybersecurity, and some other engineering occupations were added. Same thing happened with transport occupations, so truck drivers. So we had transport category, which included several transport occupations, including truck drivers. Then all of a sudden, in the update of the system, they removed the category. Instead, they added the education category. So also, like, be aware that things that work today may not work in 6 months or in 12 months. And unfortunately, it is something that there is no way to predict, and there is no way to, to secure everything. So stay alert, try to do several things at the same time. So if I were you now and I was facing the problem, okay, I don't have enough points and I want to immigrate, I would do several things at the same time. I would take classes in French, I would work as cook, I would trying to retake my IELTS. I would probably even go, if your highest level of education is only bachelor, I would go for some kind of online course, maybe homeland, not necessarily in Canada, 1-year academic program that will give me more points for education. So I would consider everything that is possible.
Perfect. I'm trying to cover immigration holistically. I would really like to get some insights briefly regarding PNP. What are common challenges that applicants face, according to you, when going through a PNP pathway, and how they can avoid them?
So yeah, very good question. So I would split it into two elements. So the first one is related specifically to PNPs. The second is again related to recent changes of immigration policies by the government. So last year, when the government was heavily criticized for huge quotas of immigrants, they reduced the admission from 500,000 people this year to 300,000, 95,000 only. So they reduced it for almost like 21%, like 105,000 people were removed. I mean, the quota was reduced. But where do we see the most significant reductions? In the PNPs. In 2024, PNPs had a quota of 110,000 people. This year, it's only 55,000. So all provincial governments are literally shocked by this heavy strike, simply because, so they planned their allocation accordingly with old quotas, and now that's why we don't see so many invitation rounds. We have very fewer invitation rounds this year. The reason is because the quota was reduced by half. And again, my piece of criticism of the government in this instance is the following. So it is very easy to reduce something that you are not responsible for. So the federal government simply reduced the program that they do not operate.
Yeah.
Provincial governments operate it. So it's, if you don't if you are not administering these programs, well, okay, you don't care. Okay, well, they kept the same quota for majority of federal programs, and they removed the provincial quotas. So from this perspective, it is way harder this year for those who plan to immigrate through PNPs than in the previous years. Hopefully, I hope it's still not something that is confirmed, but I hope that they will reconsider this and they will restore provincial quotas, and they will accordingly adjust it to some other categories, maybe removing slightly from each other category, but returning provincial quotas, but it's still not confirmed. So the negotiations are going on, and I know for sure that some premiers are pressuring IRCC to restore it. So stay tuned. The updates may be upfront, maybe ahead of us, but nothing for granted. In terms of the PNP aspect of the situation, so I would suggest the following. So first of all, before going into a specific provincial program, try to do your research. Not only what are the requirements, because like a lot of people tend to do some mistakes, like with Manitoba. Oh, I would go to Manitoba because I can work 6 months there and I will get my PR. Yes, but so 6 months is simply the minimum requirement of local work experience to register in the system. It doesn't mean that you get the PR right after. No, it only means that you may be invited by the provincial government to apply for a provincial nomination. But the processing time will be additional 6 months in a good scenario, or like sometimes it could be 10, it could be 11, it could be 12 months. No one knows. But provincial nomination, it's not a PR. It's just a recommendation letter when the provincial government tells the government, you know what, like this guy or this girl, they are good for our economy. We recommend them to become a PRs.
Yeah, it's just a nomination.
It's just a nomination, just a first stage. In the second stage, you still need to file your application with federal government and wait for the decision with the federal government. In a good scenario, if your stream has an express entry option, not all provincial programs linked to express entry. So if it is linked to express entry, well, you're lucky, because in this case, if you are invited in express entry, which also is not immediately after you're nominated, it can take some time, it still may be another 6 to 8 months of processing. But oh my God, if your stream is not linked to express entry, expect, as of today, at least 20 months of processing.
Crazy.
So it's crazy. People are going to a specific place thinking that like after a short time they will get the PR, just to find out that their PR is probably 2 years like ahead.
Yeah.
And during all this time, they still have to keep their status. They still have to keep working. And in some programs like Ontario, we have the stream called Employer Job Offer Foreign Worker Stream, Employer Job Offer International Student Stream, and Employer Job Offer in Demand Skill. So very good streams, but they are not linked to express entry. And in those specific stream, your eligibility is based on employment. You cannot change employment, because if you change employer, you need to start from the beginning. You can simply and I'm not saying about like situations where we face abuse. Not at all. I mean a genuine situation. Look, you're working for someone, your employer agreed to help you, they registered in the system, you got invited, you are working. At some point, business goes very badly and the employer simply terminates you. Like, that's it. Like, you're screwed. So before choosing a specific PNP, and just to remind you, we have 11 provincial programs. All provinces except Quebec and Nunavut have their own immigration programs. Inside every provincial program, we have several streams. In total, I think that exact count is something like 96, 95 streams in total. And
Really?
yes, when we say that we have like more than 100 programs, like this is the exact count of programs. It's not exaggeration. It's true. Yeah. So, but the point is that only probably 20 or so are linked to express entry. So not all programs will allow you this fast processing at the federal level. So before starting any process, make sure that you understand everything, that you understand the timeline, that you understand the requirements, that you understand your rights to change employer, to change province, to change occupations. Because again, like for example, let's give another example: Alberta Opportunity Stream, very good provincial stream, which allows workers from all occupations, all tier levels, or NOCs to participate. And the good thing is that you can change employers during the process if your new employer also meets the requirements, and it is a good thing. But at the same time, you cannot change occupation. You still need to remain in the same occupation. If you started the process as a cabinet maker, please keep working as cabinet maker. Don't work as window installer or so. But as I mentioned, in Ontario, in the employer job offer stream, you cannot change occupation, you cannot change employer. Or, for example, BC. In BC, we have all streams in BC. Almost every stream in BC has this federal component twofold. It can be through express entry or not through express entry. But so on the one hand, you cannot change employer. At the same time, you can be promoted. For example, you started to work as purchase coordinator, let's say, or logistics coordinator, then you have been promoted to purchase manager, it is acceptable. It is okay. It is something that the province allows. So make sure that you find out all those small nuances, because like little dozens of them. Like, and again, like sometimes without professional help, you can sink in all this information. That's why we have immigration consultants and lawyers to help you if you need advice.
Perfect. Oleg, before we wrap up this episode today, I have last couple of questions. Let's say someone wants to bring their family member to Canada for a short visit on a visitor visa. For example, I have an elder brother. I have to bring my own brother. What does the visitor visa process look like, and what are key things that applicants should be mindful to avoid any delays or rejections?
Yeah. So, like, on the first look, visitor visa is probably the easiest application because it's just for tourism, and like people tend to think that like it's a piece of cake. Unfortunately, it's vice versa. It's exactly the opposite. So, visitor visa is usually one of the hardest things because the government is always afraid that you may have like bad intentions. By bad intentions, I mean staying without legal status, overstaying, working without authorization, etc., etc. So like unlike in any other like field of law, when you're innocent until proven guilty, in immigration it's vice versa. You need to prove that you have only good intentions, that you have no bad intentions. So usually when someone comes to me, asks me like if they have a chance for visitor visa, I usually start literally interrogating them. Are you working? Do you have like a good, like huge savings? Do you have other ties to your homeland? Do you have other relatives and family in your homeland? Because like all these elements may lead the officer to like to conclusions that okay, so I'm not satisfied that you will leave country from like at the end of your stay. And unfortunately, we had seen a lot of cases where people literally they came to Canada just to file asylum claim. They came here not to visit as a tourist. They simply came here just to go and find employers to be hired through LMIA. Again, I cannot blame people for that. Like everyone is trying their best to find a proper way to Canada. But at the same time, when we declare that we are going as visitors, the government wants to see that you're a genuine visitor. And if you are unemployed, well, it's a huge risk for you to apply because like unemployed people usually do not get visa approvals. If all your family is in Canada and you're the only one outside, well, on the one hand, people tend to think, okay, so like it's a family visit, like it's obvious, like why don't I get the chance to come to Canada? But the Canadian officials treat this differently. Okay, this person has a very weak ties to his homeland. He will likely stay. And again, like if this person wants to stay, we want this person to apply for direct PR, or we want this person to apply for a study permit. We want this person to apply for work permit, not for visitor visa, just because the family is here. So all those small things matter. I also ask a lot of questions about previous travel history. A good example. Let's say, let's take your brother as an example. Did he travel to other in like Western countries, United States, Australia, New Zealand? So in case he traveled to all those countries and returned back home, well, this is a good, strong argument for us to tell the government, look, if this person should this person wanted to stay illegally or to overstay somewhere, they could do it in the UK, they could do it in Australia, in New Zealand, in Europe, whatsoever. But the fact that person traveled and returned makes the case stronger. In some cases, I even like before coming to Canada, I try to look like what are other countries that is easier to get visa, a tourist visa for the person, just to make this travel before we apply for Canada. For example, like so like Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, I don't know, like like some other like Gulf countries, like so. If we can demonstrate that the person have rich travel history, it increases our chances. If the person never traveled outside the home country, well, the risks are higher. So the goal of good immigration consultant or lawyer is to maximize chances for success, minimize risks whenever is possible. But we cannot guarantee the result. We cannot promise a positive outcome. We cannot charge you based on result. That's why good people are always straightforward and tell this. And yes, if you ask me, I had quite often a situation where I literally encourage the clients not to sign the agreement with me, not to pay money for my services, and not to apply for a visa, because I tell them the chances that it will be refused are very high. If you want to apply, let's improve your background. Let's try to do something else. Let's try to seek other options, because like if you insist, yes, we will apply. There is always a small chance that it still can be approved, but don't take it for granted. Like again, like even smaller applications have a lot of things behind the scenes, and people simply don't realize. By the way, I always like joke about this with my wife, that like, should I have known all the things that are behind scenes when I was applying, there were so many like potential traps where I could fall into. And I'm so happy that it didn't happen with me, that everything went smoothly, and eventually we got our PR, we got our citizenship. But again, like if I had known, wow, poor me.
Yeah, yeah. Same with me. Same with me. Wow. I would like to give my brother a message that he has to work hard to come to Canada. He has to do a world tour before he comes to Canada to see me.
For sure.
Perfect. Last question. How do you handle the uncertainties and fear of your clients that come for immigration process?
What do you mean?
Like, for example, I'm a client, I'm coming to you. I might have some uncertainties and fears. So how do you handle that? Like, how do you manage that?
Well, a little bit tough question. So let's put it this way, a good immigration consultant, it's also a part-time psychologist, part-time tax advisor, part-time education counselor, part-time career consultant, etc., etc. Again, when you work with people, you must be ready to things when people share a lot of things, good things, bad things. They share with you your fears. They share with you their cases where they were insulted by someone. Again, those who think that immigration is easy money and very a good job, that to become a millionaire, are completely wrong. It's a very, very hard occupation, and like on a daily basis you face a lot of things. So emotionally it is very easy to be burnt out. I even I love to say that like my permanent emotional status is overburnt syndrome, because like I literally feel burned out all the time. The same thing feel my clients, and it's kind of like. But like on the other hand, on the positive note, since I am myself an immigrant, I always tell them and encourage them. Look, like I know it's very hard for you right now, but I were in your shoes like back then. I did this pathway, so I can assure you that it is possible to go through this pathway until the end. Yes, there may be things that we cannot foresee. There can be things that we cannot prevent. I never tell them that it will be easy and smoothly, because you can never know. Even so when people ask me about timelines, also like another good example. So they usually ask me, okay, how long will it take? I usually try to tell them that it will take longer even than it is published on the government website, because my position is following: it's better for me to tell you that your application may take between 9 to 12 months, and if it is approved during 6 months, well, happy you have good news, you're very happy because it was faster. But on the opposite side, if you tell them, okay, like your case is easy, you're a single, no dependent, 3 months and you get your PR, starting from the month 4, like people will be will going nuts. They will be scared, frustrated, confused. They will text me, they will message me, they will email me every single week asking, are there any updates? But you told me that it will take 3. That's why, again, like another thing, when you talk to your immigration advisors, assess their language, assess their words. What do they tell you? If they tell you exactly that it may take longer time, well, it's not because they don't want to be nice. No, it's simply because they are professionals and they are telling you the possible scenario.
Yeah.
There's always the good scenario and the bad scenario. So probably last thing to end this, I would say the following. So always check that you work with licensed specialists. If you cannot prove the license of your lawyer with the Provincial Law Society or the license of your immigration consultants on the website of immigration consultants, probably the person you're dealing with is someone who is called ghost consultant or unauthorized practitioner. Don't work with them. Work only with those who have license in place. Second thing, don't trust false promises. A good profi will never promise you a positive outcome. A good profi will never tell you something like 100% guarantee. If you hear something like that, run away, because like they try to simply mislead you to convince you to sign the contract and pay regardless of the outcome. And be honest. Another thing that I also face, like immigration consultant is like a psychologist, like a priest. Like if you are not honest with us, how can we help you? If there is something in your history that needs proper explanation, by not telling me, you literally take away the opportunity for me to explain this. Maybe it's not that big, but like if you provide false information and you are being caught, you risk getting banned for 5 years in Canada. Don't do that. So be honest, tell the truth. If there are any problems, a good immigration consultant or lawyer may suggest you how you can overcome those things. If there are no chances to overcome it, they will honestly tell you, okay, like the chances are minimal, the risks are like huge, and again, like it's your decision to like whether to apply or not, but be honest.
Perfect. What an insightful conversation. Thank you so much, Oleg, for sharing your expertise on both practical and policy sides of immigration. For anyone dreaming of coming to Canada and making their new home, I hope this episode gives you clarity and encouragement. If you'd like to connect with Oleg Schindler, I'll add their website in the description below. And as always, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to your podcast, Think Through, for more inspiring conversations. See you next
Thank you
time.
very much for having me. See you, and good luck to everyone who are dreaming about making Canada their home. Everyone is welcome.